do you do when the person that you built a life with, you discover is having an affair? Maybe an emotional affair like flirting, distance, connecting with somebody else, but maybe a full-blown physical betrayal. Does it mean that your marriage is over? Is it the point of no return? That's what a lot of people will tell you. But I'm here to say that it is possible to reconnect your marriage after something that feels so final as an affair. But most people don't understand this one thing. An affair is usually a symptom of the problem rather than the whole problem itself. It's emotional disconnection, unmet needs, avoidance, or personal immaturity, not always the death of a marriage. And those are two very different things. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through what an affair really means psychologically, why people step outside of their marriage, what mistakes will make the situation worse, and what will create the possibility of reconciling and rebuilding trust and connection if you choose to do that. And that's a personal choice. And yes, I've seen marriages survive and transform after infidelity, but not in the way that most people do it. So by watching this video, you're going to understand why an affair is usually the result of emotional erosion rather than sudden hatred or indifference towards you. And most importantly, I'm going to give you the clear, grounded steps you can begin taking immediately if your spouse is involved with somebody else and if you want to get the marriage back. And it's not about accepting being disrespected. It's not about blaming yourself. It's really about you getting into emotional leadership during this massive crisis in your marriage. Affairs rarely happen in strong, deeply connected emotional climates. They happen when there is a vulnerability in the relational system. And that vulnerability may look like unresolved resentment, emotional neglect, chronic conflict, loss of admiration, personal insecurity, avoidance of intimacy, maybe even midlife identity crises we see a lot. An affair is often less about the third person and more about what the affair represents and how it makes them feel. It represents novelty, validation, escape, fantasy, dopamine, feeling desired again, or proving something to themselves. By the time the affair begins, emotional disconnection has often been present in the marriage for a long time. That doesn't justify the betrayal, not at all. But understanding the why helps you to respond strategically instead of emotionally. And of course, there's going to be a lot of emotions here, but strategically too. And there are several psychological dynamics at play during an affair. Firstly, affairs create a chemical high. The secrecy, the novelty, the validation trigger dopamine and adrenaline. This creates a powerful emotional attachment that can temporarily distort reality. Your spouse may genuinely believe that they are in love with the affair partner, but what they're actually doing is having a chemical intensified fantasy state, often called limerence. Secondly, affairs provide emotional validation that feels absent at home. If somebody feels criticized, unseen, or stagnant in their marriage, the attention of the third person can feel intoxicating. Thirdly, crisis exposes attachment styles. If you respond with panic, constant confrontation, or emotional volatility, your spouse may retreat further into the affair and become more avoidant because it feels calmer and less confrontational. Fourth, shame plays a big hidden role in this too. Many unfaithful spouses feel guilty and shame, but they cannot tolerate those emotions. Instead of attempting to repair the marriage immediately, they double down on the affair to avoid facing the damage. This is why explosive reactions, ultimatums delivered in panic and rage, and constant interrogation very rarely create reconciliation. The emotional climate has to change inside of the relationship. If your spouse is having an affair, the solution is not to compete with the affair partner. The solution is not to beg. The solution is not to collapse like a puddle on the floor. The solution is to step into self-leadership. And here are the steps. Step number 1, stabilize yourself before you confront anything. Your nervous system is in real shock. Betrayal trauma is real. If you're screaming, threatening daily, or checking their phone, or having emotional breakdowns in front of them constantly, you're operating from that pain, which is completely understandable. But pain is not going to rebuild the attraction, the trust, or the connection in the relationship. First, you have to stabilize. And that might mean seeking some sort of help, therapy, coaching. In my program, we have incredible results in creating connection again after affairs and infidelity, because you want to get to a place where your nervous nervous system feels regulated. That calm energy is very grounding. It creates psychological contrast to the chaos of the affair. Inside my program, Relationship Miracle Method, we always focus on regulating your nervous system first. We stabilize you emotionally so that you're not reacting in ways that push the dynamic further out of control. Step number 2 is to be really clear. What do you actually want here? Because there's a difference between empty ultimatums or empty boundaries driven by fear. And those boundaries are going to have a boomerang effect and are actually not going to get you what you want long term. So be really clear and think it through. Do you want your marriage despite this big rupture that's going on in the marriage right now? And being very clear about that, right? And actually knowing what you want is very powerful, because you're not going to be coming from this begging energy of, please choose me. I'll do anything just to get you back. I promise I'll change if you just stop doing that, right? Because that is disrespecting yourself long term, and you're going to find that your self-confidence gets eroded. Inside of my program, I teach clients how to communicate and how to understand what their boundaries are and express them in a way that restores dignity rather than escalating the chaos in the relationship. Step number 3, stop competing with the affair partner. It's not a competition between you and them. This is one of the biggest mistakes that people make. They try overnight to become more attractive, to lose 50 pounds, to attack the other person. They obsessively compare between them and the affair partner. But the affair partner is just a representation. It's a fantasy. It's really not reality. Very, very few of these affairs actually last long term. So instead of competing, you focus on becoming your best self, grounded, self-led, emotionally stable, feeling good about yourself, finding your self-confidence again. One of my clients came to me after discovering her husband was in a 6-month emotional affair that turned physical. She initially wanted to expose him publicly and threatened divorce immediately. Instead, we slowed everything down, we stabilized and regulated her nervous system. She stopped interrogating him daily. Her anxiety lowered. She started to feel more confident and attractive within herself. She set a very clear boundary that the affair had to end for reconciliation to be possible. And over time, she embodied strength rather than panic. His fantasy started to lose the intensity, because affairs thrive in the fantasy, the secrecy, the chaos, the excitement of it. And they weaken in the presence of becoming a real relationship, becoming clear and stable. Eventually, he ended the affair and he entered coaching with her. Their marriage today is not the same as it was before. It's much better and stronger. It's more honest. It's emotionally connected. They know what they have to lose this time around. And it's not because she just tolerated the betrayal and became a doormat. It's because she responded strategically. She really knew what she wanted. And she addressed the underlying emotional erosion that was going on. And so the affair is not just about stopping the contact with the affair partner, even though that does need to happen long term in order for the marriage to reconcile. It's about repairing emotional vulnerabilities, cracks in the foundation that allow this to happen in the first place. And it does require eventually both partners to examine their communication patterns, their resentment, their loss of intimacy, the emotional neglect, and the avoidance patterns. But inside of Relationship Miracle Method, my program, I guide clients, even clients that want to do the work and their spouse isn't on board yet. They start the process and their spouse starts to step up too. And they create that emotional safety. They restore polarity. They repair the trust. They end these destructive relational cycles that ended up going into betrayal. They don't ignore the betrayal. They rebuilt the whole foundation of their relationship. And it's really important to, step 5, give it time. Trust is rebuilt through consistency, transparency, and emotional accountability over time. It's not going to happen in one day or 1 week. And if your spouse is eventually willing to end the affair and you can reconcile the relationship, it's definitely possible. I see couples come back from betrayal and infidelity stronger and happier so many times in my program. Consistency matters more than emotional intensity. So if you're at this stage right now and you feel devastated, confused, terrified, wondering what's the right thing to do, what's the right move, and you still have the hope of your marriage repairing and your marriage being better than it was before, that's exactly why I created Relationship Miracle Method. It's designed for men and women navigating disconnection, betrayal, crisis in their marriage, and wanting to rebuild healthier and better relationships the next time around. I teach you how to regulate nervous system. I teach you how to communicate effectively, to understand what a boundary is and how to express it, and to end the pursuer distancer cycle, rebuild attraction, restore emotional safety, create new relational dynamics rooted in strength rather than fear. Unfortunately, you're never going to be able to control your spouse, but you can have a lot of influence over them by the way that you show up inside of the relationship. When one person shifts, the relationship system as a whole shifts and responds to it. That happens every single time. If you're interested, there's a link below and you can learn more about whether you would qualify to have a relationship reset call with me and my team and to explain exactly what's going on in your relationship and see if we can help you. You're definitely not alone and you don't have to navigate this alone, and there's so much hope for you if you do want to save your relationship, even if your spouse is having an affair. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I release at least a video a week teaching you how to save your marriage, even if it feels completely hopeless right now.